Hi, I'm Paul Chrism. I'm your happiness expert, and this video is all about sex and happiness. It's a continuation of a series I've been doing on this subject, and it's fun for me to do, even if it's kind of a bit of a racy topic in the whole field of positive psychology. But there's a terrible thing happening in our society where a large number of people in our world are very unsatisfied with their sex lives. It's almost half of men, and even a greater proportion of women just find themselves not getting what they want from their sex life. And so the tragedy of that is just something that we've got to address. And so our well-being needs to be in every part of our lives. And just the other day, I was meeting with a brand new friend, and we were talking about sex and sexually satisfying lives and connecting it to the overall meaning we have in our lives. And he had some really great insights. And from that discussion, we got to talking about kind of conscious lovemaking. And that's what this video is going to be about today. This idea that we can have sex that's more than just our bodies finding some satisfaction in getting off, and in fact, sex being a holistic part of our well-being. So stay tuned for that.
As a coach, public speaker, and best-selling author, I teach topics just like this one all around the world. So stay tuned, and I'll give you practical tools that you can use to make both yourself and those around you both happier and more successful.
So if we were involved in conscious lovemaking, getting past the kind of quick, simple genitals rubbing together, our sex lives could be so much better, so much richer. It's not that our genitals aren't in and of themselves a fun place to play. They are. But there's just a richer lovemaking than just that. And for lovemaking to be fully embodied requires a fully conscious presence as we engage in that activity. And so there's ways that we can kind of do that. And it begins long before we get into the bedroom. It's all about creating polarity where there's, masculine energy and feminine energy. And if those energies are so close together, you become similar. There's no magnetic attraction anymore. If there's very close to neutral energy or two feminine energies or two masculine energies, sexual attraction is going to be diminished. And when I talk about masculine and feminine energy, I'm not necessarily talking about men and women. Men can take on feminine roles, nurturing, receiving, submitting roles, just as women can take on dominant roles. Following natural bell curves, more often than not, more men are going to be more dominant and women are going to be more submissive. But there's nothing that says that has to be the way it always is. I'm just saying that in order for there to be sexual attraction, one of two people in a partnership has to be demonstrating a more masculine polar energy at times relative to a more feminine energy that comes across sometimes. And there's simple ways to do that, of course. It is, one person chases and the other person runs away a little bit. And when I talk about this, it's playful, it's consensual, it's respectful. But think of the cooking in the kitchen with your lover, and to brush against their bum and give it a little squeeze as you reach for something else. It's playful, and you're showing your attraction and your awareness of them as a sexual partner to you, and creating that magnetic, polarized energy that comes long before people arrive in the bedroom together. And a million other ways to tell somebody they look good and that you desire them. That's why the flirty text at work, or the suggestive picture that you send to your partner, just outside of the actual sexual context, sexualizes the nature of the relationship. It creates polarity, and that's what you want for attraction. And when we've created a lot of polarity, we want it to be whole-bodied, not just, again, in the genital area. And in Tantra trainings, which I'm no expert in, but in Tantra trainings, there's a lot of discussion about breath work, bringing the energy, the sexual energy, up out of our genital area and up through our whole bodies and into our hearts and our throats and into our brains and beyond. And this way of breathing, deep cyclical breaths, bringing air deep into ourselves, right into the lower part of our bodies, and then circulating it up to the very top, is a movement of energy that enhances a sexual experience, according to Tantra training. And of course, that is equally true outside of Tantra. We can consciously say, how do I bring sexual energy, conscious lovemaking to a whole-bodied experience? And I'm going to give you a few simple, quick tips today in this video. One is consider very carefully the environment. Unconscious sex is hurried, wherever it happens, quickly in the bedroom, with 10 minutes to go before you want to get the lights out. And it's not creating an environment. Whereas a conscious environment might have beautiful music playing, might have candlelights playing. People might be showered and in some kind of clothing that's attractive or at least seductive and relaxing. So we create a conscious setting. That's one way to do conscious lovemaking. We also want to really pause and see our lover, and not just in their sexual form, but deeply looking into their eyes and appreciating the other soul, if I can use that kind of spiritual language, that's inside of the person looking across from you, and deeply being present, being conscious of that other being there. And that comes long before we're touching and long before there's any sexual foreplay, just being present. And then thirdly, does move to touch. And the touch isn't immediately foreplay where you're, stroking each other's buttocks or going for your partner's chest. I mean, I'm talking about gentle, thoughtful touch, hand holding, something like massage, and just caressing a face, getting connected with that person in a physical way with a heartfelt presence there with them. And then finally, when we get to actually, through some slow and prolonged foreplay, we get into actual lovemaking. And again, I highly recommend, not that every time you make love, it's going to be this way, but I highly recommend slow lovemaking, where genitals connect and there's barely any movement. It's about how is our energy blending. So our bodies become blended. Does our energy become blended? And that means taking our consciousness away from our genitals and up into our heart, into our throat, into our face, where we see, and the third eye would be the Indian tradition there, and slow, thoughtful, beautiful lovemaking. And yes, at then some point, orgasmic bliss follows and cuddles and all that kind of stuff. But the conscious lovemaking begins long before, as we create polarity, and then we have a slow, conscious, thoughtful embrace into sexual union. And then that's a beautiful way to make love. And it's good for men, it's good for women, it's good for relationships. It honors that third person that is the relationship. There's the man, there's the woman, and when they come together, they together hold as sacred this third person that is the relationship. And to do that, it takes a conscious awareness and intention, that people behave intentionally. So I hope that this is helpful in the context of sex and happiness, because when we have conscious lovemaking, our sex lives can be beautiful. And that's what I want for all of you. Look, if you like this kind of content, click the like button, subscribe to my channel. You get a new video every Sunday morning. Thanks for watching. See you next time.